Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Destiny's Princess, a war story, a love story. We are on chapter 8 with Hanbei. We're actually nearly done with his story already. So he's been doing some rather unsavory things towards us, but he's kinda starting to make up for it. Though it seems that a lot of people really did not like what he did. I was telling somebody I think I'm a little bit in denial because it's an Otome game, so I already knew he liked me the whole time. And, he's just kinda maybe slightly on the yandere-ish side. But yeah, he's definitely also one of those kind of guys who just does not like to show how he feels. And apparently he likes to torment the one that he loves. He's that kind of guy. Let's see how it works out. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. Hanbei was promptly carried from the room. For a while after that, his face remained pale, and his eyes shut, never once blinking open. That's right, Hanbei had, passed out in the last episode, coughing up blood, or choking up blood. After examining him, the doctor knits his eyebrows, his face dark.
Well...
Is it bad? Well, it's not good.
Yes, I'm surprised he was able to hide it this long. He only has a few days left.
I couldn't believe that he was that sick. How could I have been so blind that I didn't notice? I knew he often had coughing fits, and when he fought off the bandits, he had fainted. Knowing how prone he was to illness, I should have guessed that he'd fall sick with something. Hanbei's pale cheeks had become waxen. It was hard to tell if he was even breathing. I hid my face in my hands. If only I'd noticed sooner.
Saya!
Yukimura looked at me with a concerned expression and hugged my shoulders. Could we have really done anything, though?
You noticing sooner wouldn't have changed anything.
Exactly. Nobunaga's voice from behind me was emotionless.
I've had my eye on him for a long, long time, and now, just when I could finally use him.
Had his eye on him for a long time. To anyone around, those wouldn't have seemed strange words. My fiancé, whose place Hanbei had taken, had been known by my real father most of his life. But, coming from Nobunaga, those words had an entirely different meaning. What exactly do you mean by that?
I think you know what I mean, Princess. This man has been sick since before he came here.
Yukimura and Masamune listened with curiosity to our conversation.
What are you talking about? Everyone's always known that Hanbei was sick.
Don't tell the truth to everyone. You don't want to risk everyone disappearing.
Huh?
Yukimura tilted his head.
We did know, didn't we, Masamune? This is going to sound strange, but I can't help feeling like I've watched Hanbei die once. And not only that, I even feel like I remember his funeral.
Now, I know historian, but the characters that in here that I actually know, Oda Nobunaga, Date Masamune, and Yukimura. I don't really know Kotaro and Hanbei, but apparently Hanbei is a big figure that I just don't remember. Masamune crossed his arms, watching Hanbei where he lay. His gaze was full of doubt and suspicion. Yukimura put his hand on his chin as he pondered.
Now that you mention it, I kind of... Wait, hang on a second here. This is no time to be talking about that sort of thing.
Yukimura furiously scratched at his head.
No. This isn't something to discuss at a sick man's bedside. Yukimura, Masamune.
Nobunaga, having stepped out of the room at some point, called from the corridor.
Come quickly, even without our strategist, that won't stop the demons from attacking. Yes, sir, right away.
Masamune left the room with obvious reluctance. Yukimura also stood. As he passed by me, he clapped me on the shoulder with a kind smile.
Don't worry too much. I guess that isn't much help, though.
Yukimura...
We'll protect the castle, so at least we can let Hanbei rest.
Right. I'll be counting on you guys.
Just leave it to me.
With a childlike grin, Yukimura bounded from the room. I turned to the doctor. What should we do?
For the time being, there's nothing more we can do. I too will take my leave. I'll return when he wakes up.
What if he never wakes up? Okay, I'll send a messenger when he does. You all can get some rest too. I'll take care of Hanbei from here. After dismissing the pages and maidservants, it was only Hanbei and I left in the room. Hanbei. Hanbei's face was as white as a clean sheet of paper. This man had borne his illness quietly, never once complaining, even to me. Was he now about to lose his life without ever having shown his true self? Now that I think about it, he never took off his clothes. Even during the nights in his room, he'd stayed properly dressed. Perhaps that had been in order to hide his poor condition. I reached out and held Hanbei's hand. Ugh, I was being felt up by a dying man. I know it's a weird thing to think of right now, but it's like he's sick and dying and he's doing all that stuff to me. His fingers were as cold as ice. Struck by the feeling that he was even now fading away, I began rubbing his hand. After a while, just as a little warmth was starting to return to his fingers, Hanbei's eyelids lightly fluttered. Hanbei, can you hear me? I hesitantly tried to speak to him. Apparently responding to the sound of my voice, he slowly opened his eyes.
Where am I?
We're in your room. After the meeting yesterday, you started throwing up blood and passed out.
Oh, I'm sorry you had to see that.
I shook my head. Don't worry about that. How do you feel? I'll go get the doctor.
No, it's okay, Princess. I actually feel strangely good right now.
I don't care. The doctor said he'll come back when you wake up.
I'd rather talk with you alone right now. Would you mind?
Hanbei clung tightly to my hand, but even so, his grip was still weak. Well, that's a contradiction. How can he cling tightly but weakly? I could hardly believe this was the man who'd easily held me down a few days ago. Ah, that's creepy! Tease him. Instead of asking if I mind, just order me around like usual. That's much more your style. Though incredibly weak, Hanbei still managed to crack a bitter smile. Still holding my hand, his eyelids fluttered closed.
I've been prepared for death. I only wish that, had I known it would be this soon, I'd been nicer to you. Instead of fussing about small things, I should have done what Kotaro said, been more honest.
Hanbei. Yep, you should have.
Always worrying about things, like whose memories these are. I wasted so much time.
Hanbei opened his eyes, then asked me in a low voice.
The memories I have are false. That's true, isn't it?
Yes.
Since when?
It's been less than a month since I've met you.
I see.
Hanbei let out a long breath, and then looked up for a while at the ceiling. It's all originally because of me. When the castle first fell, I asked the demon spirit to summon all of you for help. Well, we didn't specifically ask that. We just wanted help. We didn't ask the demon spirit to summon people. By his magic, you were given your false memories. The memories were the price paid for my wish, so it's all my fault.
It's okay, Princess.
Hanbei gave me a smile.
None of that matters to me anymore.
But
I've been too caught up in trivial things. I didn't want to accept my affection for you. I hated myself for feeling that way. And yet, at the same time, I was jealous of the man in my memories.
Ah, so he was kind of mentally tormented. Hanbei closed his eyes, a peaceful expression on his face.
I know now that none of that should have mattered. I loved you, the woman in my memories, with every fiber of my being. The woman who let me sleep on her lap. I loved you with all my heart. I've realized that there's not a single thing in the world more important than that.
All of a sudden, Hanbei was overtaken by a fit of coughs. I rubbed his painfully bent back. Hanbei, don't talk anymore. It'll only make you weaker.
Just a little more. Princess, will you forgive me?
As Hanbei grabbed my hand, I could see desperation in his eyes.
I've hurt you, tormented you. Can you still forgive me for that?
Yes. Of course I forgive you. I looked down and shook my head. I didn't want him to see the tears at the corners of my eyes. Don't think anything more of it, now that I understand how you felt. Hanbei would only be here at most a few more days. That made my heart ache with sadness. He was apparently filled with relief. He looked about to cry with happiness.
If only I told you sooner.
For a while after that, he settled into a thoughtful silence. He must have been exhausted. His eyes slowly opened and closed, again and again. Then finally, his eyes remained shut as he spoke.
I was more of a fool than I ever imagined. Simply realizing that now means my time here in this world was worthwhile.
His voice was strong and resolute. His eyes opened. His earlier gentle expression disappeared, replaced by that of the tactician I knew so well.
Princess, can you ask Nobunaga and all the chief vassals to come here? I want to give them a strategy.
But, Hanbei, you're still...
Never mind that. If I don't do this, there'll be no point to my having been here. Before I die, I will at least protect this beloved country of yours.
Hanbei's cheeks had more color, and his eyes gleamed with a bright light. Using my help to sit up, Hanbei gave his orders from the sickbed.
According to the watchmen, the demons haven't yet gathered in a very large group. They must be coming from an opening to hell, but there's no time to search for it now. I think our best bet is to invade Rokaku Kanonji Castle and burn Takayori's corpse.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained, I suppose.
Precisely. It's vital that we make our move before the demons increase in number.
Hanbei gave a quick bow of his head.
So, how many demons are inside Kanonji Castle?
An answer to Masamune's question came from the corner of the room.
At present, there are approximately 500. And the number of our remaining soldiers?
I guess about 1/5 of that number.
Oh, that can't be good.
That's nothing. We fought off twice as many enemies before.
If we wait any longer, the demons will reform a larger army and will face a tough battle. We will have to make some sacrifices on our end, however, as of now. Our enemy is still mostly in the dark as to our plans. Relying on that alone may be our downfall, but we have no other choice. We won't attack head-on. We will need to lure the demons out of the castle and scatter them.
No one looking on would imagine that the man speaking couldn't even sit upright on his own. His face was haggard, but there was a fiery power in his gaze and voice.
So, what about the protections for this castle?
I will supervise them.
I gasped quietly from where I stood behind him.
Is that so, in spite of your condition?
I should be able to manage at least as long as the time it takes for you to invade.
Hanbei's eyes shone out with strong light.
Surely the great Nobunaga will not let the battle drag on.
Huh, very well said for a dying man.
Nobunaga laughed with amusement and then slapped his thighs.
Yukimura, Masamune. We'll move out right away. Prepare for battle.
Nobunaga and the other men left, leaving Hanbei and I a moment alone. I supported his feeble body from behind. He took my hand and spoke in between ragged breaths.
Are you afraid?
Afraid for you? Shake my head. I shook my head. No, I trust you, Hanbei. It was a lie to say I was not even the smallest bit scared. But I decided to trust him. He was the man that I had wished for and was brought here after all. Though he'd faced worry and suffering because of what I'd done, he'd chosen to save our country. We'd hurt each other, but in the end, we'd finally been able to come together.
Of the demons forced from the castle, some may come this way to attack the castle. If by some chance Takayori's been able to find out our plan from hell, Nobunaga's in danger. The smallest difference in time could mean the difference between victory and defeat.
In fact, things happened exactly as Hanbei had predicted.
A swarm of demons is heading this way.
The vassal who'd come running into the room breathlessly was pale. Hanbei, who'd been lying with his eyes closed, suddenly snapped them open and sat up.
How many?
I believe around 50 or so.
Had the preparations I ordered been made?
Yes, sir. Everything's in place.
Hanbei nodded, then spoke in a soft voice.
Consider it all over if the castle walls are breached. The demons are taller than us. Even without breaking the gate, they may come in by the roof. Be ready for that, and take due precautions.
Hanbei didn't give his orders in a loud, bold voice. It may have been because he didn't have much strength left. But right now, his quiet, simple voice was calming to everyone.
Think of it like this. The more demons we kill here, the easier Nobunaga's job will be. Remember that it will be impossible to destroy the demon's leader without our efforts here.
Yes, sir.
The vassal gave a deep bow. His expression and voice showed that he trusted Hanbei with all his heart. If not for his illness, we might have had a future together, protecting the country. On Hanbei's pale face, only his eyes still held a blaze of conviction. The same way a candle burns brightest just before it goes out. Don't say that! And like that, the battle at the castle began. Apart from vassals stopping by to give orders, it was an unexpectedly quiet night. The silence was broken only by the occasional cries of battle. Hanbei even had the doctor stay away. Together, just the two of us gazed up at the moon through the open screen door. It's hard to believe that we're actually right in the middle of battle.
I know. The moon's very beautiful.
Hanbei whispered with satisfaction. The moment of truth, here's our endings. We have ending A and ending B. It doesn't say anything about the endings, so I'll just do them in order. I wish everyone could watch the moon like this. It really is. I wish everyone could watch the moon like this, with us.
Everyone look at the moon together.
Yes, maybe tomorrow even, after the war is over, we'll gather everyone for a moon viewing. Everyone, including Nobunaga and Yukimura, Masamune, and Kotaro. Of course you'll be there too. Hanbei's eyes narrowed as he smiled.
That would be a lot of fun.
Suddenly, I heard hurried footsteps. A vassal slid into the room and fell prostrate on the floor.
What's going on?
He was in such a panic he couldn't speak. I felt nervous as we waited for his answer. Coughing and sputtering, the vassal raised his head.
The demons, all of a sudden, they all disappeared.
Well, that's good news. What? Hanbei and I looked at each other. Well, I guess the old Rokaku guy must have been killed.
And from the direction of Rokaku Kanonji Castle, the flare was sent up.
The signal flare was supposed to be the sign that Nobunaga had burned Takayori's body. The vassal's voice was tearful. He wiped his dirty face with his fist. Hanbei's face filled with shock, which gradually morphed into a smile. Seeing that proud, slightly childish grin brought feelings of pride and affection to my own heart.
I told you I'd protect us all, didn't I?
Yes, and you certainly did. It was all over now. At long last, this country, the castle, and the people were safe, much sooner than I'd expected. Is everybody gonna disappear now?
Now, I wouldn't be too sure of that if I were you.
What? Huh? It was the first time in a while I'd heard that baffling androgynous voice.
Princess, where on earth did that voice come from?
Hey, what did you mean by that? I took out the dagger at that instant. The dagger's relatively shrill voice in an instant became a low, booming one. Light shone from the cracks in the sheath, so bright I couldn't keep my eyes open. The dagger then floated up into the air all by itself, and then... Ring! After a sound like an icicle breaking off and falling to the floor, the silence returned. The light was nowhere to be seen. The moon shining in the sky, the buzzing of the night bugs, silence, as if nothing had happened.
What just happened?
Don't ask us. I timidly reached out and touched the dagger fallen on the floor. I grabbed the handle and pulled. A fine black powder spilled from the sheath and was quickly blown away by the wind. I guess the seal's been broken and that demon's free. What does this mean?
Princess, was that...
Hanbei grabbed my arm. Don't glare at me! Yes, it was the demon spirit that I asked for help.
You said that the castle had fallen once, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Did this dagger do that too?
Yes, the demon inside the dagger, there's a spirit living inside. What? The demon didn't make this castle fall before. What am I talking about? Hanbei's face quickly became grim, and he turned to the vassal with a shout.
Get everyone left in the castle outside, now.
Sir?
There's no time to explain. Hurry.
Yes, sir. Right away.
The vassal sprinted off, and Hanbei again grabbed my hand.
You too, Princess. Hurry outside. The spirit's magic is going to be broken.
What?
In a few minutes, this castle is going to fall.
I looked at Hanbei's face with disbelief. Okay, yeah, the first ending is its own chapter. So we'll read that in the next one, and if it's short enough, we'll do the second ending. But I think they're each going to be their own chapters. God, I hate cliffhangers so much. I hate making them, but you have to end them at some point, and a lot of times there's not a good breaking point. And I have no choice in these because it's the game's chapters. Well, at least this gives people time to go and vote on my Patreon page as to which character you want me to play next. So anybody who is a patron of mine can go there and vote now. And if you're not a patron, you can become one if you like. You can just click the link in the description below. If you sponsor me for even as little as $1 a month, that entitles you to a vote. Alright, well, I hope to see you in my future videos. And I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.